group meeting, which is a unique meeting. I mean, a unique group of people. It's basically made up of, oh, there's some echo. I know, last time it was, I think, from the speaker from the board. Oh, can you hear me now? Does that sound better? I'm hearing it again though. Are you all hearing it?
Yeah.
I saw the mic go off and then it went back on.
Not true.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's.
But you, a second ago when you pushed it, it did go off, but then I think you pushed it one more time and it went back on.
It's just the speaker we need to mute.
Can you mute it?
Well, if we mute it, then they can hear us, right?
Oh.
So you want to mute it, but you don't want the speaker off.
Okay.
That's what's feeding back.
Okay, well,
The sound on the TV should be off. The volume.
it does look like it is.
It's the gain on the mics. I'll turn. It might help if we mute our mics if we're not speaking.
Can you hear me now? Oh, I don't, okay, yeah, that sounds better.
How did
Cool.
you fix it? What was it? We don't know.
I don't know, I can kind of still hear it a little bit. I don't think I have a ring from here. All right, so this is the Rollingwood Park Design Group meeting. Our general membership is 2 council members, 2 RCDC members, 3 parks members. Any other RCDC members, parks members, or council members that come to this, they're allowed to come. They just have to participate as a regular citizen. And I do think one of them, I think one of them, parks might also come. So today we're going to look at, Kurt has gotten, he came to our last one of these meetings, also to our last parks meeting and to the council meeting. I do want to update you guys that at the last council meeting, Kurt was given the go-ahead to move forward with the parking area to get construction documents complete. And so we have a pretty good idea.
Y'all
Oops.
turn off your mics if we turn those off. I think that might.
How do you turn it off?
Right in the middle. Just there's the remote. That's it. Where it says push.
Thank you.
That
All right,
should fix it.
is that better? Oh yeah, that does seem better. So we've had several meetings. Curtin's got the go-ahead to work on some construction documents for the, so where you see the parking lot kind of coming up is probably gonna be very close to a final design for parking lot. We have not gotten funded for a parking lot yet, and so it's not a done deal. We're also, the construction documents are gonna help us get a better idea of what the budget will be on the parking lot. But we feel really good about the progress that we've made there, and that the design will be in keeping with the other 2 improvements that we completed, which was the retaining wall and the playground area. I know Alex sent something out this week talking about aesthetics, and that is something that's really important to us, and we really appreciate the great job that she's done on setting sort of the stage of what we want the things going forward, the look and feel of what it should look like going forward. And so that will be carried through the parking lot. And
I didn't see that. Was that in some package or?
it's in the, if you look at the, so
Is
we're
it
having
email or-
a little transition struggles. It's in, if you go on the packet, not the agenda item, but there's 2 different versions. One of them has all of it in it, but it didn't, I don't know why, but it's not in the one that you can click and link. I can show you if you bring it up.
Yeah,
And so, and because this group in particular, you know, we're really a working group. We try to get as much of the documentation in, 72 hours before our meeting, but this is really just,
Yeah, I understand.
we
I
don't want to
just
slow stuff down.
feel
So
free to email me stuff if you're emailing stuff around. I appreciate getting information.
She did. She
Oh, did you?
emailed you.
Okay.
Yeah, you were on it.
Day before yesterday?
I don't look at that Rollingwood
Sent a
email.
lot of emails, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm I'm sorry too, cause I have different email accounts and they don't all get the same level of attention, but my best one's my Gmail.
oh, if
if
you
you-
Oh, I think I sent it to your council.
Yeah, that's the one that you guys.
It was this one.
I have trouble logging in because of Microsoft. They won't want me to authenticate all the time. Thank you.
Yep.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
And she did sort of some more information and then did some detailing work on the batting cages.
Cool.
So one of the other things that I do want people to realize that one of the components that we are keeping in mind, I hope everyone is keeping in mind, is that we did do a master plan and had an amazing group come in and do a lot of discussion with our community, which, yes, it was done 8 years ago, but there's lots of great information in it that was done ahead of time. And so I'm just going to remind you guys a little bit about the end of that master plan said, a way forward, a community heart and central gathering space which provides communities for residents of all ages to play. It reflects the values of the community through a cohesive design that is authentic and connective. And so that's definitely sort of a mantra of aesthetics and what we're going for. And then some of the things, just to remind you, that were overall recommendations were extend and improve walking trail and make an accessible connection between the lower and upper park. Create multi-purpose fields that allow for additional sports programming and unstructured play. Assess and utilize on-street parking on all streets adjacent to the park. Provide a separate off-leash dog area that is its own. Expand programming opportunities for teenagers, adults, and seniors. Create overall brand and identity for the park that reflects history of the park and community. Focus on planting shade trees and maintaining existing canopy. Expand native gardens on site. So we are keeping that, I think we spent quite a bit of money and time and community effort, and all of those for me are almost timeless sort of suggestions. So as we go forward, what I'd like to do is, the fact that we only had a certain number in our packet does not keep us, this is just sort of the new designs that Kurt has used to incorporate. If there's a design as we talk about this today that you remember from 2 meetings, 3 meetings ago that's in a packet, we are more than happy to bring it up for people to point at and discuss. We're just trying to, and I do think we've made a ton of progress in terms of sort of, we know where the location is gonna be. We know we need to have a walking trail somewhere around, behind. We know we need to have additional sports fields and how we're gonna accommodate those into the space. Again, Alex had sent some ideas, even moving beyond that into the batting cage areas. So, Kurt, would you like to walk us through the 3 new designs for today? Would you feel comfortable doing that?
Sure.
Cool.
Yeah, I just kept adding.
I know.
Hoping we can settle on one.
And this, what number option is this called, in case someone's looking online or?
Well, let's see, I think I have this.
Or just tell us how big the field area is, and then we're able to.
Oh, it's the point set,
Differentiate.
oh, wait, I don't know.
It's this one that has
0.73.
the thinner
Is it option 6?
I think it's
option 6.
option 6, yes.
I was
Okay.
going back through this and I think I may have misnumbered one of them, but
Okay,
we'll call this option 6.
okay,
So the,
Oh, there's 6.
now this one's a 0.5 acre.
okay,
So what I tried to do on this one was to create a little bit of separation. Now this has 2 trails.
Mhm.
An outer one and then this inner trail that provides, I think, to me what's good about it is it provides access to the field house.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure if the field house is gonna eventually become a concession stand.
It already has a concession stand in it.
Okay.
It's
So
just not, it's
used
not
for
active,
that.
it's not used for that. But it could, again, it could be, it's a community space, it's definitely is where our bathrooms are, which is something that people use all the time,
Yeah.
and a shaded area. But we're hopeful that we might be able to make a meeting area inside of it someday.
So that's one advantage of this, is it provides, you know, a little better access from this area to that. But besides that, you know, it has the outer trail, and this version has a little bit of a buffer planting between the fence and the trail.
Okay.
It's not a lot, it does preserve a lot of the butterfly garden that's there.
Okay.
So that's that one. And then if we wanna go to the one that's very, how do you go to the next one?
Oh, I see what you mean, because I'm looking at a .6.
There's 2.6.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an option 6 that has a bigger
Two option
buffer.
sixes,
Yeah,
One of them doesn't have the inside trail.
right.
I like the inside.
Okay, so let's call
It's
that one,
mandatory.
the first
A
one,
and B.
6A. Yeah, exactly, 6A.
This one is option 4.
Okay,
This one, is 0.55 acres. And
okay.
some of this doesn't seem, I mean, when it comes to designing this, even what is that, 5/100ths, it can make a difference in the overall design. So what this one does is it pushes the trail, the dog park all the way up to where it starts to fall off.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the advantage of that is the fence could also serve as, you know, the bound, so people wouldn't fall off, almost like a guardrail as well as
Yeah.
a fence. And this one, has this inner trail and then a planted buffer. And so the planted buffer is a little bit wider here.
Mm-hmm.
I think the advantage of this is it kind of gets the dogs off to one end, and then this becomes kind of the place where you can sit and view the field, and then the trees kind of create, you know, a corridor through here. So that's that.
Can
Can I ask a question? Oh, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
let me ask a quick question. The one before that, was there a fence on both sides of the trail? No. So the trail has a big drop off, but, okay.
Yeah, on that one, and since our last meeting, I actually went out and plotted where they drop off, and this line is pretty accurate. I guess pretty close.
Yeah.
But I did put some little blue, paint dots out there, if you
Oh,
wanna go
great.
see where I
Yeah.
park, except for where the catclaw acacia or whatever that plant is,
Oh,
I couldn't
yeah.
get in there. But, you can kinda see where I marked it.
So I have a question,
Yeah.
if I may. So I'm looking at, which one is that plan?
4.
4? Okay, yeah, that's the one I have open. So my question is, like, when you have this square footage mark, like the 32.6 to 85, the 0.75 acre and the 0.55 acre, where are those measured from? Is it like the light green colored area is 0.75, and then this sort of more olivey green is the 0.55? Is it the color marks the boundary of the measurement?
Yes.
And the
yes.
dashed green line on the right side on the 0.55 measures that? So,
Yes.
so you've got other space, like in this middle trail and green space buffer, that's not measured, right?
Right.
Okay, all right.
And it says it in the key for anyone else who wants to check.
Oh, thank you,
Yeah.
it's all in the key,
Yep.
okay, thanks.
I just want to help
I
you.
didn't wanna say that.
That's okay. That's okay. I couldn't even open my email beforehand to get all prepared, so I apologize.
This also, I've included some dimensions, if you just extended the baselines out to where it hits the
Right.
nearest,
Mm-hmm.
obstacle, I guess,
Yes.
so, that kind of.
Well, you sure did nice work on all this. We
Mhm.
appreciate you. And how wide is that trail buffer green space in option 4?
This one here,
Yeah.
should have that dimension. This is I would say more like 7 feet, cause it includes the curving.
Right.
So, this is a little wider, this is about 8 foot, and that's about 7 foot,
So it's 15 total?
about 15 foot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And another question on that plan, and as we go on, I'm just gonna tell you, I really like this plan a lot, because I think it does the best land use, and I like the buffering and the trail and everything, but if, can can I come point? Do you
Yeah.
mind?
Did you bring your pointer?
I left it in the car.
Oh,
My cable-
that's too
In my
bad.
cable bag. When traveling, I couldn't fit everything in the briefcase. So, what's the reasoning between is there no fence on the baseball side of that trail?
No, sir.
Okay, so is there no, don't they have to have a
Well,
fence along the
well,
baseline of
let me
these?
clarify that. This yellow line represents the fence. It's just been shifted over. So this is kind of the dugout area, and then I stopped it here at the outfield.
Oh, is this the dugout?
Well, it's just kind of a sitting area right now. It's just
Is
cage,
it like
cage
bleachers?
No, I think they must put chairs in there, but right now
It's really parking lot. I mean, you're like,
bullpen or
yeah.
something.
Oh,
It's just a little fenced rectangular area, and I guess they
It
put.
is a dugout, right?
yeah, that would be the dugout, yeah.
It's a fenced bench area for the girls to sit in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
AKA dugout.
It's a dugout,
right?
yeah.
It's not,
But it's not actually dug out.
Ah, right,
Oh,
right.
it's not
It's
below
not
ground.
below grade. We hope not.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what that is. I was trying to understand that. And then is this spacing? Okay, so that's the fence, so that's all baseball inside that. I got you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I
That's
just
what
took this whole spacing, so that's what the
Just
field was.
shifted it over.
Shifted it over 30 feet. One thing I didn't point out is these new plants I've come up with, they all shifted this one batting cage 10 feet to align with,
Oh, nice.
with this
Uh-huh.
batting, the bigger batting.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Great, thanks.
And so by doing that, this whole field shifted 10 foot that way.
Uh-huh. Gotcha. And that's no problem with the trees.
I went and plotted that extra tree.
Yep.
That's where that is.
Cool.
And so if you took this plan and needed to raise that 0.55 acres up to 0.6, how would you do it? Well, retaining the integrity of this design.
You can go to number
Well,
five.
you'd have to give
Yeah,
up.
we can go to the,
Yeah, you've moved to another plan.
No, I don't agree, because the number 5 that I'm looking at shows a trail all the way around on the north side that we don't have in Plan 4. That's a totally different design.
Yeah, I think eliminating this planting would put it back at 0.6.
Well, if you're gonna, and those are low plantings, right?
This was kind of
looks
the
like
same
trees
type of
and,
plantings are in the butterfly garden,
Uh-huh.
which most of them are pretty low.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then you're envisioning trees only on the dog park side? Is that what
it
you would
looks both
suggest?
there.
Both sides in that plan?
This plan, not sure about planting them in the dog park if the trees will, if it's good for the trees, but I was thinking, people could sit here, or if they're in the dog park, they could sit under the shade. From what I've read, it's good to provide shade in the dog parks for people.
I think it's a very nice feature, especially because you'd be on the north side of the trees there. It's where you get good shade, but of course you got to balance that with growing grass, which prefers sun. But I think some trees along there is a great design idea. I mean, it's one of the reasons to have that buffer between the two fields is to have some trees. So if you wanted to not reduce the buffer or trail and still wanted to gain 0.05 acres, could you squeeze that softball field to the plan left to the south?
I guess that's something I'm just not sure of, is how much can you take
Mhm.
out of this?
And I'm not talking about taking the space out between the dugout and the field, because I know
Just
that's,
right here?
no, can I come point?
Yep.
Well, I think we get so hung up on numbers that we're not really looking at the big picture. We're just so focused on
You're hung up on
numbers.
numbers, but I am. So I'm talking about shifting this softball, this whole thing, 10 feet is what it would take.
Right, just reduces the right field distance.
Right, that's what I'm asking is
Right.
what effect that would have. Is that feasible, practical? Is it, what's, I don't know if we can move So you're talking about, we got a 55-foot baseline, a 68-foot right field distance, which overlaps with the other field, right? There's no, these would be open, so it'd be overlapping. So it's not like that's a hard stop. I'm saying if you shifted all that over, how much would you have to shift all of that over to gain back that, to get to that 0.6? It wouldn't be more than 5 or 10 feet, right? Or less than 10.
Yeah, probably so, because it's such a long distance.
Because you're talking about only 2,000 square feet, and what's the distance? Like, what's that dimension?
Oh, this is
Roughly.
84 over here.
80, that's 84?
Yeah.
So if you called it 100 on average from end to end, and you're talking about 2,000 square feet, that's 20 feet. So 20 more than I thought it would be.
Kevin,
Yeah.
what in your mind is makes 0.6 the magic number?
It's a political issue.
Right. That's
And when we first went down this road, there's a lot of people who are very much opposed to even considering the idea of creating a separate dog park because they didn't want the dog park reduced to a point where it couldn't be used. And when we, at the very beginning of this process, before we even moved forward at all, we looked at how much space is there. If you incorporate the north parking lot in with the fields 3, 4, and 5, what's your total? And I came up with, I think, 52,000 square feet total. Maybe it was 54,000, whatever it was. It was my rough estimation. It must have been, yeah, it had to be 52 because I think 20, what's the 0.6 is 26,000 square feet. So it was 52,000 square feet. And I said, look, if we can make a deal where we divide that equally, can you support it and can we move forward? And the answer I got from one council member, because that's all the votes I'm allowed to count, okay, through consultation because I open meetings, was yes. And otherwise, and I promised that I would not support it unless the net dog field was going to be less than 0.6. That was the condition I agreed to for negotiating with another council member. And that's why I'm hung up on the number, because it's a commitment, it's a political commitment that I made. Okay. So I want and I want to commend everybody that's worked on this because I think everyone's looking for win-win solutions that make the pie bigger, so to speak, for everybody. And I think that Kurt has done an outstanding job of doing that, and you guys have been able to squeeze more square footage out of this deal than I thought you could, which is great. And I'm happy for, the baseball fields and the rest of the park to get the benefit of squeezing that extra square footage out, but I still have to stand by my 0.6 commitment. And I think it's doable. Now, if it's totally not doable, then I go back and I say it's not doable. But I think it's doable, and if it's not doable, I want to at least say we tried every which way to do it.
So can we look at the 0.6 one?
Well, I feel like we wasted a lot of time and energy if we were never gonna look at other options, because we spent a lot of time.
I've been very clear from the beginning about where I stand on this. There's been
I
no
know, but
confusion whatsoever
And
about it.
we have to remember, this is one council member.
That's right.
The other
I
person
can
is
get
not here.
outvoted,
We
and
can
I
give
can,
our opinion.
So
I can get voted out
he's
too.
just
Y'all can-
he's just giving his
I'm
opinion.
just telling you where I stand right now.
Right.
It doesn't mean it can't be changed.
Right.
I'm just saying,
So-
you asked why I was hung up on it, and that's the honest
Yeah.
answer.
And one of the things I just want to clarify is we have an existing situation that where there's a shared space that's over an acre, and so that is the default of what we will end up with if we don't come up with a solution.
Right.
And
It's a
so
matter of trying to
so
get support for a change.
so we're trying to get support for a trade. Alex, I'm happy for you to come up. I just wanted to help calm everybody down, to remind everybody that this has been so awesome. We have really come so far because 8 years ago, we couldn't even be in the same room together without 100 people being angry. And so I feel like we've made a lot of progress and we have a great design, and now we're getting to the details, and that part can be hard.
And if
So-
I could clarify one thing about my position too, is that I tried to bring this up to council 3 years ago. I brought up getting rid of the north parking lot and creating a separate dog park, and it went nowhere, and I was told, do not even bring that up again by the other council members. I got no second for anything I proposed. And so when this came up again, I tried to find a compromise for council that I thought could move forward, and that's what I came up with.
Okay, thank you.
Alex Robinette, 2500 Hatley. I just want to make one comment at this point, just addressing what you said. And I appreciate that you've been willing to look at this and have tried in the past. The only comment I really want to respond to was that we found extra space. And I think that, yes, we did find some extra space, but I think that came as a result of not setting kind of clear definition of what our priorities are. And so we found extra space by taking it away from the walking trail and taking away the experience of the walking trail. And we took space away from fully functional fields. And so I just want to qualify what you said, that, wow, yay, we have all this extra space, we can make it happen. I think we have to go back and really define what are our intentions, what are our priorities. Because if I looked at a program just based on what I've heard and we've talked about, we want the biggest off-leash area possible. We want the biggest great lawn possible. We want the longest walking trail possible. We want all the parking spaces that are possible. Like, we want the biggest batting cages. So we got a lot of wants and not a lot of gives. So that's all.
On that front, I would just like to suggest that in my opinion, there's 3 non-negotiables for the community. This is my opinion. A walking trail that is 0.33 acres. I think just eliminating it to the one on the inside really reduces the functionality that a lot of people get use out of. Second is you have to have a walkway to the fields if you are going to cut that off with the dog park. You need people to have access, otherwise they're just going to cut across baseball fields. And I do think there should be a small buffer between the dog park and the walking trail. Those should be, in my opinion, 3 constraints that we work within.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with those.
And so which, do you have a scenario that you lean toward that meets what you're thinking?
Option 6A
Okay.
is the only one of these that meets all of those
Criteria.
criteria. You could say that option 5 does, but it eliminates the buffers between the dog park and that, and I think that's the
Okay,
least
this is
important of
6A.
the 3.
I'm sorry, just to clarify, 6A is the one, can you?
6A is,
Okay. Gotcha.
it has the
A
butterfly
walking trail.
garden still.
Borders
Okay.
the
This-
whole
this
dog
Yeah.
park.
I had mislabeled this one.
Option 5 also does that, but it doesn't have the buffer, right? So that's where you go from 0.5 to 0.6, and that's
Right.
that's the gift, right?
Uh-huh.
So
Right.
Yep.
And I guess my question was, is there any more give on that softball field, outfield, since it does overlap? That's my question. I was trying to explore, and I was trying to figure out what it would take to get that .05, and I came up with 20 feet through a kind of a real rough estimate, which to me, I don't know how that affects, how badly, I should say, that affects softball. Obviously, it's a negative effect. But in looking at it in context of the whole park view, I mean, those are, let's not forget they're overlapping outfields, and do they play at the same time ever?
So there's 2 different, and I'm
They do?
gonna speak for the, so I'm happy to, is Wilt here? Okay, I know I talked to Jay yesterday and
Okay.
asked him if they could send somebody today, but they haven't, they're literally starting their games this weekend, and so they're just really busy with, setting that up. But, if you think about it, there's 2 sort of, in the organized sport, world, there's 2 scenarios: practices, games. Practices are pretty flexible. In fact, Western Hills Little League regularly used the outfield of Field 1 for T-ball practices. So, and that's not uncommon at all. But, so for practices, you could probably, and in fact, I think Steve, I talked to Steve the other day for softball, he said, half the time we show up, there's a baseball team already on our softball field, because they forget, they don't recognize that they're different. And so he said they're pretty easy. It's usually up to 3 teams. But again, if you've got T-ballers who are just hitting it, within the infield, it's not a problem. and they really do use some of the one and some of their other fields for the big boys. So, but remember, these don't have lights, so they don't use these after dark either. So
Which limits their availability.
Yeah,
So sometimes
for
they
sure.
could be on the fields at the same time because they're limited by light.
So definitely for practices, you'd have up to 3 teams out there playing. Now, again, it depends on, we also have talked a little bit about, for all of these scenarios, whether we're talking about the pet and that we should probably look at a little bit of optimizing the park experience for both our practices and our games, so that we're not overloading the park at certain times. And so one of the things that we try to talk to both the girls softball and the boys baseball about is spacing out games, so you have enough time between games to get people in and out of the parking lot, but also not having 3 games on 3, 4, and 5 at the same time that you have a game on 1 and 2, because 5 games means, that's 20 players on each one. That's just 100 kids, 100 kids, which 100 kids is usually 200 cars or parents. And that would overload our park. So there is a little bit of practices, no problem. Usually kids are getting dropped off. Parents aren't, some are hanging out, but not always. That more people carpool, but games is more the number that we should be thinking about when we. Duke, did you want to jump in here?
Duke, Garwood, 5, Rockaway Cove. So, Alex said that there's all these priorities of max this, max that, and I think Kurt's done a great job of sort of trying to balance all those. Like if there's 8 balls, they're not all tennis balls. Some of them are a bowling ball and some of them are a ping pong ball. So that's a challenge. But I think these are somewhat diagrammatic, space allocation, not a lot of detail and design in terms of the landscape buffer and all that stuff. And I think, I'm sorry Kevin Shell's not here, but he's made a great point, I think, in that whatever we do, it needs to be done well and really be quality and reflect quality design. And I think relative to 0.6 versus 0.55, or I think Ron for 0.5, because a man of great logic said that last time. I just think that when you get down to trying to maximize each particular priority, we're going to be closer to 0.5 or 0.55. And I mean, that is a reality. And I say that not that I'm a landscape architect, but being in the design world, by the time you try to make that trail experience and maintain the butterfly garden and leave a little community interaction and provide access to the ball fields and do all those things and do them well, you're going to have to give up a few little things along the way.
Well, and the way I think of that is more like, don't think of just that green space as the experience for the dog people, because if you have a beautiful walking trail with some trees and greenery around it, it'll feel like that's part of the space that's adjacent to you.
Absolutely.
I think that's what you're.
It's the total.
Yeah.
Let me respond as well. I appreciate your comments, and I will tell you that.
But you like 0.6.
No. I'm gonna suggest something else. Here's the deal about 0.6. I don't care about the number. Okay, the number doesn't matter, except that it was a political issue, and I need as much help as I can get to get this through council. This deal got shut down before. My goal is to not get it shut down again. I want to get something done, and I'm committed to that. And so I just need all the help I can get, and that helps me. Okay, so it's like, look, I settle accident cases all the time. I negotiate these cases for $10, $20 million settlements on these accident cases. And when the insurance company asks me, well, what if we got you $9,900,000? My answer is, yeah, okay, we'll take it, because it's almost $10 million. So sure. I don't mind trying to deal with this, and I appreciate what you said, Sean, on the plan preferences on 6A for all the reasons that you like it. It's my favorite plan too, okay? I like the buffer. I liked all the elements that you said we should have in it, and I realize that makes it difficult. I would like to see if we can get any more space to get between the 0.5 and the 0.6, even if it's add it to get it to 0.55 by shifting that softball field over a little bit. If my rough calculation required 20 feet to move it 0.1, I think we could get, or was that for 0.05? That's for 2,000 square feet. Anyway, if we could get even a little bit more and still not grossly impair the utility of the ball fields, okay? If we can get another 10 feet, then I feel like we can get done. It's kind of like when we're settling cases with my clients. If I go back to them and give them the number, they're going to say, well, can't we go get a little bit more? And then it helps them get to resolution. I'm trying to sell this to,
No, I get
instead
it.
of my client, it's the other council members. So I'm just saying, if you can squeeze it, Kurt, a little bit and see what it looks like and give us at least a choice so we can have two things to vote on and say either this 0.51 or the 0.61 or 0.551, that helps me and it helps give council a choice.
And
Yeah, I'm sure, of course, but I'm just
Yeah.
Kevin, I
trying to
think
react in real
Yep,
time.
Yep.
Yeah, you're
Yep.
fighting the battle.
Yep.
Kevin, I think the process is going to be a helpful evidence for your cause to say, hey, we've worked at
We've
this to
worked
try
it,
to
and we
get
are
there.
working it, and everyone's doing a great job, and I appreciate that.
And I think that Kurt's got still tools in his toolkit to
Yeah.
kind of maybe move some things around. Those details we haven't gotten to the point to be able to fine
Whack that
tune.
butterfly garden
all
out of
that.
Plan 6A, and I think you might even be there. Right?
Kurt, yeah, will you remind me on there, on where the cliff is on in that photo at the top? Because I keep going up. Go to your left. Yeah. Is that, that's the cliff, and so,
Yeah, I didn't measure past this, but I feel like there's a little bit of room here. I measured I could measure this. On the survey, really, all I have is these two trees to go off of.
okay,
And so I pulled a tape in between those and did offsets.
cool.
I could do the same thing between these two trees and plot that. So there may be a little room there.
Yeah, I didn't know if there was any room in that space.
I'm passing around a series of photographs that kind of show what that edge condition looks like
Uh-huh,
at the
uh-huh.
drop off, which I'm not sure this is totally correct in terms of the size of the butterfly garden with respect to that tree, because
This butterfly garden is more like a bubble diagram.
yeah,
It's kind of that
yeah.
area, but I don't think it goes back that far.
Yeah, but I do think that, I think you're right, and that trail situation right there would require a full fence. For
Yeah,
protection.
that's a
Yeah, how do we
problem. That's
keep that from
aesthetically a
falling
problem.
off the edge and eroding?
What if we went back to Plan 4 and got away from having the trail go along that cliff?
Well,
That's,
then
I
we
think,
feel
where
like
we-
that ruins the
You like
walking
that
trail
better.
Well,
experience.
I'm
Okay,
Christy
yeah,
Because
Butler.
they live
sorry.
back there.
I'm Christy Butler.
Yep.
JC Butler, 6 Pleasant Cove. So we're the house
Right.
directly on the other side of that, and so that plan really worries us
Which
a
one
lot
worries you?
without the trail because
You
the,
like the trail.
we like the
'Cause
trail
that puts
because
people up there.
yeah, but I'm worried more about the dogs being right up to our backyard, a dog park with the barking and the noise, and also like all of it drains into our yard.
Do you
So-
hear it now? I mean, the dog park is there
Well,
now.
they've got the whole parking lot. I do hear it from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Like when, I mean, there are dogs, I mean, it can be like 30 dogs out
Yeah.
there. And I mean, I have the parkland, I've got all of that, plus the parking lot. And sometimes the dogs are on the other end of the dog park. But when that dog park is like staring up into my backyard, it's concerning. Not to mention, there's no buffer like the plants or the trail for any of the pee or, like, I mean, where is all that going to drain? In my yard. I mean, I can show you videos when it rains, that water is coming straight off of the cliff into our yard. So that's concerning. Then it's like, we don't want the kids to play in it, but it's my backyard. So I don't know.
Okay, so y'all prefer a trail.
At the trail, we see the people, but at
It's a
least
buffer.
it's,
It's a buffer.
I don't mind the people. They're walking,
They're quiet.
they're fine.
I think that, and I've seen some of Alex's plans, and there's like a bit of a berm that definitely helps not only with privacy, but it helps kind of directing water so whatever's draining out there doesn't come straight into our yard. I think either one, especially now that we're talking about pushing it all the way to kind of the boundary, which is probably another 10, 15 feet towards our house. I think that I think certainly if you have the trail there, you probably do need a fence because you don't want kids. I mean, already they could, but it's just gonna be closer to just wander. And there's nothing to keep you from just falling off that cliff. So some sort of boundary, definitely some more vegetation, the better, for all of those things. And certainly if we ended up with a dog park all the way up there, I think that beyond the fence, I think it would be good to have a berm. So a berm and then with a fence on top of it, and that would help with the drainage. And then the fence, hopefully you could plant something, some honeysuckles or something that's,
Cherry
you know,
laurel, something.
something that can be pretty for on both sides and also provide privacy.
Kurt, can you estimate how much space there is from the edge of that cliff to their lot line? Is that their lot line we're looking at on there?
On the far right.
On the far right? So we can estimate that. What does that look like?
Let me
About
get back to
50
where I had
feet?
that plotted.
Okay. I'm just curious about how far, you already have a buffer of parkland that we're not developing. We talked about developing it down
Yeah.
there. We're trying to leave that alone for
it's
y'all,
more
and
like
that's
when you're
buffer for
when you're
you.
in our backyard though.
I'm sorry?
When you're in the backyard, it's because it's so much lower.
I
it's
walked
like
by your house today.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful house,
Yeah.
by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Guys did a great job on it.
thank you.
But I was walking my dog, and I walked down Pleasant
Yeah.
Cove and saw how your fence. It's a different perspective from that side because you're right at the base of that cliff, with that
Totally.
corner of your yard.
Totally.
Now, you've got a buffer there. I don't know about the corner of your yard or what kind of buffering y'all are putting in your yard if you want more buffering.
Well, so the thing is the cliff runs the entire
Width,
width of the backyard, and so
Uh-huh.
it's not like we could put a fence because the top of the cliff is not our land.
Is some of the cliff on your land?
I think some of the boundary line is right along the cliff,
The
and then
base,
some
like
of it
real close?
is. I think in some areas the cliffs, some of the cliff is in the parkland.
But have you put any kind of vegetation buffer in your own yard, or does your fence go all the
Well,
way?
the cliff,
It
the
looked like
cliff,
it was
the
all
cliff is
road and
maybe
everything.
12, 13, 14 feet
So
high.
that's the buffer.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you're up there, so if people are walking in the park right now, especially in the wintertime when there's not
Mhm.
much vegetation, they can see right down into our backyard. They can see into our windows.
Right now, they can't.
And there's nothing
Yeah.
we can't build like a 30-foot fence.
No, I'm
obviously,
not, but
right?
I'm
So-
trying to understand how this is different, I'm trying to understand how you deal with the whole buffer situation now. It's
Yeah.
obviously not just the
Well, the dogs aren't.
7 foot of
up there.
trail. I mean,
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, all we're saying is that if things move another 10 feet closer, and then certainly if that's then a dog park with no screening, so there's people just hanging out, there's dogs. We have dogs. Our
Bark.
dogs often will be barking back and forth with dogs up in the dog park. It'll be mayhem.
well, I can go look at it, but my impression of that was that there's a lot of vegetation there along that. It's that, what do you call it? Something Devil's Claw bush? It's like
Oh, the
acacia or something.
There totally is, but when people are on the walking path, we can see
You
them.
can see them.
So it's one thing if they're walking and they're moving on with their day, but
Uh-huh.
if you're at the dog park sitting there for an hour, it feels a bit intrusive. You've got the dogs right there barking at our dogs.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's not like a solution that's that difficult. It's more of okay, if we're gonna move things closer, first of all, drainage is a thing, especially if you're gonna bring dogs there. So let's just think about how we can direct that. And secondly, moving things closer, let's just make that screening thicker. And I'm all for. I'm not asking for a concrete wall. I'm asking for more beautiful vegetation that I think people on both sides of it would appreciate.
Okay, and I guess what I was trying to ask is, what are you doing about that on your side of it? Are you putting
not-
screening? Can you put screening
We can't
vegetation
because-
in your backyard?
We can't because
It's crazy. It's
it's about
13
the
feet
height
high.
of the
Their
ceiling.
screen is, how
So if
tall
you
is
had
the
to make
cliff?
it,
13
they're
feet.
still
Yeah, so they already have a wall
Looking down at us.
that's
Exactly.
Yeah.
13
You're
feet.
talking about the cliff,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but,
So
I'm talking about
Yeah, I
planting
know, we hear you.
trees and
Yeah.
vegetation.
I mean, we will plant trees, but I mean, we're talking we actually are going to plant a tree back there, but it can't block
There-
the whole thing.
Okay.
And we're talking, it'll have to be like a 30-year-old tree before it actually
Okay.
does
I
its
got you.
job.
I think if you just stood in our, it would be very obvious.
Yeah, I'd be happy to
Okay. It'd be
stop
very
in.
obvious.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, when I'm out
Yeah.
walking the dog, or I'll call
Yeah,
you or
yeah.
text you or
Yeah,
something.
Of course.
it's very, once you see it, it's very
Okay.
obvious.
I walked back there, I saw it too.
Yeah, I'd like to.
Yeah,
See,
you
I'd
could-
like to see it because
yeah.
even from the
That's
street, it was
so-
helpful to see it.
Yeah. From the street, you kind of
Okay, we've got about 10 more minutes. So,
Sorry,
no,
I
thank
didn't
you
mean
very
to-
much. That was super helpful. Really appreciate it. Alex?
Sorry, I'm back. Just sort of summarizing some of the things I've heard and kind of the way this is going. I think what it feels like, Kevin, is that we're all sort of trying to accommodate your criteria. And I feel like if you're going to use a comparison to a court case, that feels kind of contentious and threatening a little bit, because this is a completely different situation. Like, that's a very tense thing that you're dealing with when you're doing that. But this is totally different. And we are trying to do the best job that we can to maximize each of these experiences. And I think you said that in your opening parameters. That's the goal. And so when you describe things as we're just going to rob space from here and squeeze this and push that, all for the goal of a number, a magic number, it's taking away things that we're not talking about. And the walking trail is an experience, and it should be park-like. And on the Town Lake Trail, on the south side, they built that whole berm from that parking area on the south past whatever those reclamation fields are. And that feels really nice. That didn't used to be there. It felt very exposed. And now there's a berm, there's trees, there's native plantings, and suddenly it's wonderful. And so we kind of have to do all of it, and everything has to be squeezed a little bit. But I really feel very strongly that walking trail is one of our best assets. It's at the top of the list from the park master plan. And, I think people would like for it to be longer, but we're going to take what we've got. And so I'm just asking you to maybe consider that. I assume you don't speak for all of council. I don't think that you can. And if you're only speaking for one other person, well, there's still 3 more. And I think that you have to give them
Absolutely.
the options available and
they will
trust
get-
that they'll make the right decision.
They will get the options available.
So
and
I'm
they
gonna-
will make a decision, and you're right. I'm not just, can I just respond one thing too? Because I want to say, I agree with, everything you said about design. And I want to thank you for all of the great work you've done on this park and on this project too. I think you're extremely talented, and I know you've worked hard at it and are passionate about it, and I appreciate all that. And I agree with everything you said about the trail. I'll tell you, this is a very contentious issue in the community. You guys know it has been. The reason it has not been contentious through this process is because I have asked everybody that feels just as passionately as you do, but on the other side, to stand down and stay out of it and not engage in this until we go through the process, and to let me go through the process. And they've done that. But if I asked them to be here, there would be 10 people here who are being extremely contentious about that dog park and losing any space in it. And so that it is contentious, but I'm representing people who feel very, very, very strongly about it too. I try to do it without being disagreeable, but still sometimes we have to disagree.
Yeah.
So
I understand, but I think everybody has to get out of their particular lane a little bit and look at all the other parameters. And so that's all I've done at looking at this, is how can you optimize what everybody's asking for based on what's available.
So I'm gonna,
Yeah.
that's great.
Thank you.
I really appreciate both of you guys, and you have some great ideas. Here's what I'm hearing that, at least for today, I feel like we can take away, that we would like to keep a trail on the outside and have a trail and a space that separates in the middle. That's what I'm hearing. Is that what I'm hearing?
can
But
I suggest that we keep an option without a trail on the outside, because everyone's point about it being a cliff and needing a fence may make the outside trail impractical. I'd love to have it, but
That's a tough sell, Kev.
okay.
And the reason I say that is because there are so many people in this community that use that trail as an outlet for their exercise. It's 3 laps for a mile, and I think is really important to
Okay.
a lot of people out there. So that's the only reason I push back on getting rid of
That's
that.
fine. I can
would
accept
agree
that.
with that as well.
I mean, I
There's
do.
a lot of
I
people
agree
who
too.
use the
I
trail.
love the trails, and I
Yeah.
run on trails, and I love the trails too. So
think
I have
that's
no
the
problem
compromise,
if
and
that's
here's-
consensus that we got to keep it. Fine.
And here's what I would urge you to consider. Instead of getting rid of that trail, there are two options in here, number 5 and 6A. 6A is the one we discussed. It's 0.5 acres. It has the three things that I mentioned before, which is the walking path to the fields, walking trail around, and a buffer between. Option 5 doesn't have a buffer between the trails and the dog park, but it does maintain the 0.6, and it does have the trails on the outside and the inside. And I think if you're going to compromise something to get it to 0.6, which I'm not necessarily in agreement with,
I
but
understand.
I understand where you're coming from on that front, the lowest priority item, if you were going to cut any of those, would be the buffer instead of the
Okay.
outside trail. That's
And maybe we
my
could plant
perspective.
vines on the fence as something of a buffer too. Kurt, is that feasible to do like vines on the fence for a buffer? Takes less space, and it's some screening, and then we're gonna have a bunch of trees through there. Well, I'll just tell you right now, I can support this option 5 and would support it. I'll just tell you that.
Yeah, I figured
And
you
I
would.
think 6A, if you could squeeze it to get it closer to 0.6, maybe 0.55, I could certainly try to pass that. I would personally support it if I could get council consensus on it.
You haven't had a chance to speak.
Yeah, Ronald Hasso, 2810 Pickwick Lane. I just want to remind everyone too, there's a big group of people also that are very angry that it's over 0.4 acres. So we've compromised on our position to get to 0.5. And it feels like meeting in the middle at 0.5 is a reasonable solution. Sticking to 0.6 and losing that trail and buffer on the outside is a bad idea. My kids love that trail. They walk around it. They ride their bikes around it.
We all agree
And
we're gonna keep it.
I understand the political reasons for
Yeah.
sticking to 0.6, but the
Right.
practical reasons of going to 0.5 completely outweigh any political win or agreement. And if let council vote on a plan that's 0.5 that has both paths or this, just I think we should have the trail on the outside, and I think 0.6 is a losing choice for our community. And there's a lot of people that I know that would be very angry about if we're just going to 0.6 and we didn't even look at anything less. I mean, I came and spoke many times about 0.4 acres. I've moved off that position because it looks like 0.5 is probably the right fit to get everyone's needs met as best as possible. And so I think sticking to 0.6 is not reasonable.
Okay.
I think that's a really
Thanks,
fair
Ronald.
point, that, there is compromise needed, and the 0.4s have come to the 0.5s, and the 0.6s can come to the 0.5, and it's a happy medium.
Hey, Jeff.
The only thing I'll add to Ronald's position is my understanding with we're going to need RCDC funding, which does need the broader support of the community. So I think Ronald is speaking on behalf. We saw a lot of the emails and all the data. So we do need, I agree, Kevin, 100%. We need council support. Appreciate all the work you're doing in this. You're doing a great job in these meetings, trying to find compromise. I think it's amazing. But everyone needs to realize, look, we're all winning. That plan looks awesome. The 0.5 acre, whatever one, that one right there, everyone, I think it's so much better than what we have right now. So I think if we can all agree collectively, let's sell this back to council, to community, to Little League, to everyone. Like this group right here, we're going to have to sell this. And I think that looks incredible. And I think, like Ronald said, we were so hard on the 0.4. It had a lot more support on the emails, and nobody's bringing that up right now. So I feel like a lot of compromise already happened.
Telling you to put your sales hat on, Kevin.
So
Look, there's
one-
no one on
Oh.
council that's trying to sell 0.4. That's the problem.
So the one other thing that we haven't talked to today, do you guys have like 10 more minutes? Or
Yeah.
5 or 10 more minutes? 'Cause-
Max.
Okay. So we'll end at 105?
Yeah, 108 is fine.
108. Okay, 108. So one of the other things, the two that we're thinking about right now, I think is that both have the trails on either side, is the option 5 that's 0.6 and the option 6A that's the 0.5. Kurt, can you talk to us a little bit about, because this is RCDC, bringing up RCDC and costs is one of the things that we're, the other sort of stumbling block that we're gonna get to eventually. And so thinking about, how much, like moving the trail, that's a pretty minimal cost difference. We are gonna have to move fences. We're also gonna have to bring in sod and, obviously some soil and stuff for that parking area, kind of dig that out. Are there other things that, Kurt, between those two, cost-wise, that we should be aware of, thinking about? Big differences?
We still have 2 more plans we haven't talked about.
And-
that
and-
were on the agenda packet.
Irrigation.
I think we've been all looking at them. I don't know if y'all want
I
to.
don't think we've actively talked about this one. What is
Okay.
this?
Well, that's because we've kind of moved past like 2 plans that had 2 trails. We've moved to one plan that has,
Okay, so we're actively talking about this plan. that
no,
was
no,
really
not that
bad.
one.
That's what I meant.
Yeah,
No.
no,
5
Kurt,
and
if you wanna
6A.
bring it up, it's 5 and 6A.
Is there a reason we're not talking about these 2?
Which one?
There's 2 more that were
Because
added
they don't
to
have
the.
the
Because they don't have the
inside
want
inside
the
trail. We
inside
want the
and outside
buffer, we
trail.
want a buffer between the dog park and, that's what we were just talking about.
It'd be hard for people to get to the back field, Alex, without the inside trail.
Yeah.
Can I,
But, and
They can walk
also,
in the grass,
and
though.
also having a buffer between the dog area
Yeah, we
and
like the
the
buffer.
kids.
on finance, can I talk to you about that for a
Yeah.
second? Cause yes, we're gonna ask RCDC to fund this, but I fully expect RCDC to fund it, whatever it is we tell them we're gonna do. But also, if they didn't for any reason, I firmly believe council would fund it too. So it's gonna get funded, and I wouldn't worry about that too much. But one issue on cost consideration, cause we will have to go through all the steps of cost estimates and contractors, but we're advancing the parking lot plan, as you mentioned, which is great, and council's fully supporting it. It occurred to me after our last council meeting when we did that most of the cost in this dog park project that we're gonna do is dirt work. That's like 80% of the cost, or it's gonna be more than half the cost. It's gonna be excavating that parking lot, hauling off that material, bringing in new material and grading it. That's your biggest cost in the project. And it occurred to me that they're doing a whole bunch of dirt work on the parking lot, and it might be really nice to be able to bid both those things together, because when they have excavators and dump trucks and front end loaders out here already, it's gonna be a fraction of the cost to do that back parking lot. So I'm just throwing that out there.
And I'm hoping timing wise that we will be able to do that.
I'm hoping.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say it out loud so
Yeah.
everybody's on the same
Alex?
page.
Before you move on with.
Can
just-
you, cause people can't hear you.
Before you move on to 5 and 6A, I don't think that we've really addressed the fact that both of those plans have really squeezed the trail and pushed it to the very edge. And again, if we are advocating for the walking trail, these 2 plans we haven't discussed have more buffer. They create a better experience. And if we're still trying to plant trees, we need room for trees. If we don't want people to have to walk through 2 fence lines, we have to have more buffer for that. So the thing that I had suggested is that you absorb that internal path, so that you can shift the dog park over and still have at least half an acre, presuming people will figure out to walk against the fence line. People aren't going to walk right through the middle of a baseball game. They'll figure it out. Like, we did this for years. You walk around the extents of it, and that's my feeling. Like, I wouldn't dedicate very valuable limited real estate to another path when we can assume that when it's not a game time, people will figure out how to get to where they need to go.
I think part of it was to give a buffer so that dogs aren't, like right against the play space.
And you could handle
Yeah.
that with fencing that's slightly more opaque at the lower level, so that up to maybe 2.5, 3 feet, maybe you have more boards, and the higher part is more transparent, just so that it doesn't feel very fence-like. Like, there are other things you can do. You could put the fake ivy if you wanted to, like, that don't consume any real estate. So I think we just need to keep looking at those options before we settle on.
So do you mind going over there and like pretend like you're getting out of the parking lot and you're going to the game at the field up above? How can you show me how people would walk there?
Well, is there always a game happening here?
No, I'm just saying when
Assume
there's,
that there's 2 games
It's-
going on. You're
Yeah.
gonna walk bumping into the right field
I think you would probably walk like this.
Or
you might
along the
even
trail.
walk like this, you know?
or around the outside.
Around outside.
Okay.
That's the reasonable conclusion.
Or you
Yeah.
might
Yeah.
Can't
walk
can't bump into the right field. You'd have to
You
walk
would
around
walk
the
around
trail.
the trail.
Yeah, you would.
It's
Yeah.
it's not ideal, but I think it's livable.
And it's a rare condition when the games
Yeah.
are going.
Yeah.
No one's-
And I just wanted you to show where the because we all know people use the path of least resistance, and so there will be a path, whether we build it or not, that will go there, and whether it'll look good or not. And so just thinking aesthetically, what the floor, the ground, or whatever we can do to make that more.
may end up
You do have
putting
three
some
options.
DG down there, if it
Yeah.
gets worn and low, you dump DG on it a little bit informally, it's not a problem.
You can do like a warning track along along kind of that kind of get along the path.
Mm-hmm.
And you could also put signage to like, please use the trail.
Mm-hmm.
Some people will.
You make it thin.
But also when it's practices, you can walk through the field.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah,
It's only
for
game
sure.
day.
And you don't see the other parking lot. We often park by the
Yeah, we do too.
playgrounds and then come over
Yes.
that way.
Yeah,
Yep.
we never park there.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. Okay.
Good. Well, I think we're making progress.
Yep. We are. So we have
So we're still considering
we have 2 more minutes.
park option 6B and park option 8, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
yeah.
So 6B,
I appreciate that.
6B,
So
and you said
6A and B,
6A and
5
B,
and 8.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
and not
got
and
knocked
not
out?
4.
4 got punted.
You lost.
Progress.
So
Or got punted.
yeah. Okay. Kurt.
Can I take?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Well, in doing all this design,
Yeah.
we started off looking at this lower area.
Yep.
We figured out we couldn't do that. We've been looking at this, we've been, saying what our constraints are.
Yep.
We have cliff here, we have parking lot here. One thing I've never had much input from is somebody telling me, you need this much length for a baseline, you need this much. Because this to me is still like amorphous. I don't know how much I can cut in here. If they say, we don't need near that, just cut in here.
But even if it's not used for baseball fields, it will be used for other things also. And I don't think we should cut into our field space
But I'm
when we
cutting
have a great
everywhere.
plan.
I'm just cutting everywhere, and this is one area that I don't know where it's too far.
Yeah.
And if I knew that, I could say, we're fixed, we can't go here, we can't go here,
Right.
that's what we're left with. But
Well, it's a
now,
little bit because it is not well defined.
I think it needs to be well defined.
Yeah, but it's not, like, if you go out and do, Google searches and ask AI about the sizes for these fields, there are not consistent answers. I think even the pro ballparks all have different lengths, outfields, that's why they hit different home runs. Now, I know very little about
Yeah.
baseball, but I think
are right on
that's true.
I think we're
Yeah.
always gonna be, well, can you take a little more here? Because
Yeah.
I think we-
nobody's told me.
Well, they provided that pony.org
Yeah.
has the
Yeah.
layouts. They provided
And,
that.
and when you have overlapping fields, things kind of change a little bit, but I'll tell you as far as like parameters, I mean, I gave you the only parameter I had for that. I just want to see if everything else works around it, and I'd still like to see, you have something as close as possible, preferably at 0.6, no matter which way I see the merits of all these different plans. I appreciate everything Alex just said. I can support any of them as long as we don't, make it too difficult for me to sell.
Well, I'm
So
just
I
saying,
think
can
any
go
of
back
us
to
would be
my
happy to talk to
computer
anybody
and
because
make
it
this
is about
0.6.
compromise and we're
Yeah.
all making
Well, we'll have council meetings. There'll be more than one where all that happens.
So, the next meeting.
But I think it's also important to say how far we've come and all
Yeah,
the work that's been done.
absolutely.
We
Yeah.
have
Great
looked
work.
at every option
I agree.
under the sun.
Very
that
well.
has reasons.
It's been well studied,
So
but
the
I just
next-
don't want to
I-
go to
because-
council and say, there's no option that
Yeah,
meets
sure.
your criteria.
I'm too many people are talking. Can you guys? We're still in our meeting, so I'm gonna let Kurt
But as
finish.
a courtesy to.
No, I'm gonna let Kurt say. I'm just trying to get everyone else to be quiet so he can say something. Go ahead.
Well,
Do you mind going to the microphone? Sorry.
I said I was going to do 2 options. I've done 10 options.
Yeah.
I could right now.
say, we can get 0.6, sure, let's just draw it right through here,
Mm-hmm.
done.
Yeah.
Because I haven't heard the minimum on that. And so I can go back 10 more times. But that's we know we're fixed here, we're fixed here, we're fixed here. It's just this.
I wouldn't
Can we-
change the curve, but I would like to see an option that creates 0.6 by moving that line to plan left. And I would like to see what it looks like. And then if it's a lousy plan, then council's not gonna vote for it. But if we're gonna, if,
Why is
Okay.
it, yeah.
we'll get a lot
Okay,
of feedback.
the-
Hang on, if we go to, I want to have a 0.6 plan to go to council with as an option. So make it the best one that you think that everyone can live with, and then we'll have a 0.5 plan, and we'll have whatever other plans this group wants to send, or that Parks
Yeah,
votes
yeah,
to
yeah.
send. And then we'll have the same debate at council, and it'll be a much bigger group, a lot more public, everyone will have their say on both sides.
Well, since I'm not hearing a lot of feedback on the fields, of course I'm gonna take a chunk out of that.
Can I give an idea on the fields? Could we actually set up 2 teams playing at the same time with the dimensions we're discussing and see what it looks like in real life?
I think if we go chalk mark it on the ground, maybe after we get some plans like that, that's a good idea to go visualize it, you know, chalk the baselines and put the bases out there and let's see what it looks like.
Okay,
It's a good idea.
we're past Sean's time, so I want to just, we are going to meet again on March 10th. That'll be the parks meeting, and we'll have discussion about the plans that we've seen so far, and, yeah. So, if you don't mind bringing a 0.6 and then these.
And it could be any of these versions. I mean, you know, I think there's a lot of support for all these different versions, right?
Yeah,
I agree.
Yep.
Thank you for doing this.
I mean,
yeah, you bet.
You're great.